Let's get to everybody's favorite thing, actually coding. So let's take a quick look at what we've got. This is my game. I call it EcoQuest. There's the base with the JavaScript and CSS that you don't need to touch. And here's my blocks. Here's some images. And here is going to be my splash screen. Now that's called index.html. If you work with websites at all, you realize that if you go to a directory and you don't put in any specific HTML page, it's going to look for that. So instead of having in a block like everything else, people are not expecting to look for EcoQuest slash block slash splash. So the index.html is right here. Now let's look at our blocks. So the splash screen is like every other block in that it's got a config file. It is, as you'll see, a little bit unique in that it doesn't have the HTML file inside of it, as every other block does, because it's right down here is index.html. But every block works right out of the gate. So if you go to index.html, you pick run, and here is our working splash screen. But, of course, this is not a game about Minnesota turtles, so we're going to need to change it. But I just want you to see that all of these blocks are working to begin with. Now, every block has this completion URL, except for the in-game block, because you're at the end. So this is where you want to go next. Again, because the splash screen is unique, it's the index.html is not inside the folder here. You're going to have to say blocks slash, and then what is your next block? Well, in my case, my next block, I'd copied the Visual Novel Basic, and I have a new folder that I named Plastic. So my next block after the splash screen we want to go to is Plastic. And if you look over here, it's reuse.html, happens to be the name of the HTML page. And how do I know what it is? Well, that's what I named it. So you can name it anything you want. All right, I want a different background image. And if you looked at the last video where I said you should start with game design and getting your artwork together, I did that. I'm not a big hypocrite. So here's my images in the splash directory. And these are the ones it came with. And I added one I called Ocean 1. So I'm going to get rid of that level up one that came with it and put in ocean1.png. Add a background image, alt text, because I want to be friendly to screen readers. So put that in. And the title text is not Minnesota Turtles anymore. It is EcoQuest. This is my working title. We'll just call it that for now. And I could have changed the title color, but I didn't. And there's a level up sound. The one that comes with it is a splash sound. You could put in your own sound, but since this is about saving the ocean, I would leave that. You don't have to delete the unused things here, but it makes sense to do. It's just efficient. So since the only image I'm using here is the ocean, I'm deleting everything else. As I said, you don't have to, but I think it's good just cleaning up. So now I go to index.html, try running it again, and there we go. So I have a new name, EcoQuest. There is the start button, and that's how you get your splash screen. In the next video, we'll get a little more adventurous and look at doing your first visual novel.